Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Ian. Well, today I'm continuing with the build of this Revell Supermarine Spitfire Mark 9C, and it's going together quite well. I was a little concerned after the last video where somebody mentioned they built the kit last year and really didn't enjoy it, but mine seems to be going together fairly well. The plastic is, of course, from 2014, so it's getting on for 10 years old, so there could be variances, I guess, in the kits. Anyway, on with the video. I hope you enjoy it. Right, I'm a little further on, and it's been quite interesting. Let's just have a look at this first. I've done some painting, as you can see lower down here, of some of the components in the cockpit, and I've tacked the cockpit tub into this side just at the front, and the fuselage, when I get it lined up, actually goes together reasonably well. It's okay at the back there, it's okay underneath, just this bit here, so I'm thinking I may just have to do a little bit of work here. You can see it will spring either way, so there's something not quite right there which I need to sort out, but actually it's not that bad. So I'm thinking if I shave a little bit off here, that should go together okay, and so that's not looking too bad at all. Everything appears to be lining up, which is great. I also had a go at some of the other parts just to get them prepared while I was waiting for things to dry, and it was interesting to say the least. Nigel's going to shout at me because I got these things together and I thought, well, that doesn't fit, you know, and then I realised that I had to actually cut these pieces off, and I'll show you that in the manual in a minute. So I obviously hadn't read the manual properly, so they will go together. I still need to do a little bit of work on that, but you can see the idea. It's going together okay, and the actual leading edges are really nice. I've only actually cemented the leading edges, but they've all gone down really nicely, so I'm really pleased with those. So, well, that's good. Just put those to one side and have a quick look at the manual. When you come to do these, as I say, it just didn't make any sense to me until I saw this bit here, which tells you, of course, to cut the tip off on the tail wing there. So I've now done that, and it makes a lot more sense. So that's me not reading the manual properly. The other thing that's a little frustrating, which just doesn't make too much sense until you actually look into it a bit further, is here. Now it shows these parts as G72 A and B and G73 A and B, both saying Mark 9C early. So you turn the page thinking, well, there'll be a late then, but there's nothing on here that says late, nothing at all. These are the two that should say late, so I thought, right, let's have a look at the back here, and these are the two schemes. So there's this one here, and there's this one here. Now, when you look into them, obviously, that one says 1944, and that one says 1944. Well, this is May, and this one is November. So this is late, this is early. So that's the way I've gone with it, but nothing on here says early. There's no reference as such as to which one's which. It just gives you options, then you have to really look at it. So once again, Nigel at Nigel's Modelling Bench is quite right. look through the manual, find out what the hell is going on so you understand it before you start, because this actually slowed me down quite a bit until I realised I don't mind this, but I didn't want to do the clip wings on this, and this is the one that I'm actually going to do, which is the Royal Canadian Air Force, flying out of England, out of Tangmere. I hope I've pronounced that right. In May 1944. So this is the actual livery that I'm going to go for. So this is the early. So everything that I'm now doing is now going to be based on the early one. But it would have been nice, wouldn't it? They mentioned this is early, and then no mention of late at all. So it was a little bit confusing as far as that's concerned. But fine, no bother at all. That's done. My next step then is to get this fitting correctly and get the tail wheel fitted. I've had a look at the tail wheel, and whilst I could, I think, at a pinch, push the tail wheel in after, I'm going to take a chance and fit it. I may come to regret that, but time will tell, won't it? I'm just going to have to be careful. So we'll see how we do with that. It doesn't stick out too far, and there's plenty inside the fuselage, so I'm hoping it's going to be all right, as long as I don't drop it or anything silly. But I just need to make this fit a little bit better than it does already. It's not far off, as I say, so we'll see how that goes. So far, so good. Well, I managed to get the fuselage together reasonably well. There's still a small amount of gap here, but I think I'll be able to get rid of that with a little bit of judicious filling. The rest of it's gone okay. I've just glued it along the top and along the front at the moment, and I've got the propeller shaft in, which I forgot. I put all this together and then forgot to get it in. Fortunately, I was able to sneak it in underneath and get it in without any bother. And any little steps that are there will come out okay. There's no real detail along this centre seam, but any little rivet marks that I missed out, I should be able to get rid of, no problem. So that's the fuselage setting up. I've also put the ailerons together, so they're just setting again. They're just set along the leading edge, and they've gone together fairly well. I've been working on the wing, and I've fitted these two parts here to the undercarriage bays. They've cleaned up fairly well. I'm going to have to be careful here. These pieces here are really, really delicate. I don't know whether you can see through them here, but yeah, there's not much there at all. So I'm going to have to be really careful I don't damage those. And I've cleaned up the rest of the wings, the tops there, and they go on no bother. So I'm not going to put the top halves of the wings on until I've got the bottom on, I don't think. And then I can see if I need to bring the dihedral up a little bit before I actually glue it into place on the fuselage. But they've gone together fairly well. The leading edges meet up quite nicely. I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble with that. I obviously need to do some painting in here for the undercarriage bays, just to give a little bit of colour behind here, which will be a lot easier to do before than after. Well, these are really quite thin and quite delicate, so just going to have to be very careful with bits of these. So onward and upward. Just one thing I neglected to mention. I had a look at this again, and in fact the tail wheel will slide in there afterwards quite nicely. So that means I don't have to fit that until the very end, which is a big relief, because I really didn't want to break that. Well, so far I'm quite enjoying this build. It's going together reasonably well. The wings are very, very delicate, especially the little edges where they meet the bodywork. So I'm going to have to be truly careful with those. But it all cleaned up okay. Some interesting sprue nibs. The sprue nibs on the undercarriage bays were huge. Anyway, they were in a position where they won't be seen anyway, but they cleaned up okay. And finding that the tail wheel would go in after was a massive thing, because I could just see me breaking that off, and I really didn't want to do that. So that will go in after, no problem, whenever I get to that stage. A little bit of painting to do now and glue up the rest of the fuselage. The underneath of the fuselage needs doing. Just get all that, make sure that it's well done, and then get some filling done on any seams and some sanding. Just finish that off before I start on the wings. Then I'll fit the bottom of the wing and then the two tops, and try and get the dihedral correct. And that's going to be interesting. First time I've had a go at that. But yeah, it's going together okay. And hopefully in the next video we shall see it looking even more like a Spitfire with wings on. So we shall wait and see. Thanks very much to everybody who's subscribed to the channel, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It really helps the channel. If you click the bell, YouTube will let you know every time I release a new video. And if you've got something to say, please leave it in the comments below. It'd be lovely to hear from you. And don't forget to click that like button. Lots of YouTube instructions as usual. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Cheerio.